Hey everyone, Mrs. Panarelli here to introduce the literary research paper. So this is kind of the big assignment of the year. Takes a long time in terms of the reading and the writing involved, and so you need to get an early start on the project. What I'm showing you right now is the research paper packet. It's long, and I will make copies of it for you so that when you come in for the December material drop off and pickup, you are able to pick up a packet that you'll refer to during the unit. All right, let's see. Can I move this box? Oh boy, that's weird. Okay, I'm not going to move it. Yes, I am. Okay, that's better. All right, so one thing you need to know about the project is that it involves literary criticism. So that means that you read a couple of books by this one American author, and then you go off and you research what other scholarly individuals have written about the books. So it's not negative, it's just a close examination of the works. And you need to gather all that kind of information so that you can then decide what you want to argue about the books that you've read. What is your thesis going to be? So where to begin? What's important right now is that you select your author. So you need to choose an American author. You need to read 2 books by that author. And all of that needs to happen, within the next several weeks, especially in terms of the choosing of the author. You'll start reading, I think, right after we finish Their Eyes Were Watching God, because at that point we'll be reading a play together in class. So, like I said, two books by that American author. In some cases, you might be interested in an author who writes rather long novels. For instance, John Steinbeck wrote East of Eden and The Grapes of Wrath. Each one of those is around 600 pages. So that might be an author for whom you would read one book, because that one book is a lengthy book. In order to kind of choose your author, you want to read reviews about their works. Make sure you're really going to be interested, because this is a long-term project. So you really want to choose an author that is of interest to you. All right, in terms of the timeline, so you're choosing your author right now, then you're choosing the books by that author, and then for, late November, maybe into February, you're reading those 2 books and taking some notes on those as you go. All right, and I want to get to the actual list of authors, but first let's make a stop here. In terms of length and format of the paper, it'll be a 5 to 7 page paper, and within that paper you will be citing 4 to 6 secondary sources. So that's literary criticism. So you have your 2 books, and then you have these 4 to 6 outside sources. So you're kind of synthesizing everything together based on your really awesome and interesting thesis statements. This packet has a lot in it. You can see there's a sample research paper outline and thesis. And then here's the good stuff for right now, the author list. I would highly recommend you choose an author from this list. If for some reason Miss Rocha and I have left an author off the list who would be a good person to work with, then let me know and we can talk about it. But these are all writers that you would find success with in terms of the book selections available, and also the fact that there is plenty of literary criticism available. So let's see, you've got just double check here. Okay, so right up here, it's specified. These are the novelists and text suggestions. So writers of fiction, some of whom you will already be familiar with. You'll notice F. Scott Fitzgerald is on the list. You will have a hard time finding a book that compares to Gatsby. I would probably avoid him, to be honest. Zora Neale Hurston's on the list. We're reading Their Eyes Were Watching God right now, probably her best book, so I don't know if I would choose her. You won't have as great a selection to work with. But this list is really nice. It's comprehensive. It includes authors of color. It includes authors who are living. It also includes authors who are not living. So you've got, a nice variety based on your interests. All right, and then at some point we move on to playwrights. So if you are interested in reading a play, why not? We have a few good options right here. We're actually going to be reading Lorraine Hansberry's A Raisin in the Sun. That's our next work that we are reading, but she has some other plays that she's written. And let's see. Who might you be familiar with? There he is, Arthur Miller. Some of you may have already read Death of a Salesman. He has a couple other plays that are really good too. So those are options to you. Essentially, though, you're not choosing an author because you've read something by them already and you want to reread it. You're choosing an author potentially because you are interested in that person from the past and you want to read more by them. Or for most of us, you'll be choosing an author who you might not have even heard of, but somebody who sounds good and you like the idea of their writing. So I think it's good to discover a new writer. All right, this is kind of a hodgepodge list. You have poets, you have writers of essays, and then you also have short story writers listed here. Let's see. As far as this list, Edgar Allan Poe is on this list. People seem to have fond memories of Poe from middle school reading. Poe has written many great short stories. A lot of people have already written a lot about him, and he's tough to work with for that reason. So choosing the most popular or most well-known author isn't always your best bet, just in terms of being overwhelmed with how much literary criticism there might be out there on that writer. All right, here's the breakdown in terms of the grading criteria for the project. So it's all divided up. You can see that it equals to 200 points. That's just the paper. So along the way, I think you know Miss Rocha and I by now in terms of how we schedule things out and have check-ins. You're going to have, a zillion check-ins on the project, and that's going to equal another 100 points likely. So between February and March, you will accumulate these points, and the actual big grade will go in for Q3, but the smaller grades will go in for Q2. All right, so just to recap, your job right now is to start researching these authors and find someone who kind of speaks to you and who you are interested in. Hopefully, you find someone from this list that is provided. If you have someone who is not on the list who you're interested in, again, please send me an email and we can chat about it. You need to decide how you're going to get your books. Are you going to try to get them from the public library? Are you going to see if the media center has them and put in a request with Miss Landry? Or do you prefer to order from Amazon? I prefer to order from Amazon because I can write my book and I prefer to write my books. So maybe you want to order online. It doesn't need to be Amazon, sorry. Whoever you like to order your books from. So you've got to keep all that in mind. You'll complete a couple of Google surveys, one that will kind of commit you to your author for the long term and tell me which books you are going to read. So that will be posted shortly. And that's kind of the big decision making for now. I think that's it. So the exciting and kind of daunting part right now is you choosing your author. And if you have questions, certainly let me know. Check in with me during class. And I obviously have plenty of suggestions I can give. Between Miss Rocha and Miss Landry and I, we have read, many of the books on the list the three of us combined. So I would certainly have some recommendations for you. Um, but I think it is really important that you choose an author who is interesting to you. And I think it's also equally important. There we go. I think it's equally important that you open the book, that you maybe go on Amazon and click to explore the book so that you can read a sample of it and see if that is really a writing style in a book that you would do well with, that kind of fits who you are. All right. So I look forward to hearing about all of your author options and your book selections. And now you can head off to research.